Hey Bloom Babes, I'm back with another video, and today we're going to be looking at the difference in pigments for our resin work. We have 3 coaster molds and we have 3 different pigments that we're going to use. The first is an acrylic paint, a light magenta. This is the Artist Loft brand. And then we're using our pigment powder. It's called Rose by Bianca Pores. And then our last pigment is an alcohol ink by Pinata. It's Senorita Magenta. So we're going to use each one inside each individual coaster to look at the difference and how our coasters finish. So I'm going to evenly distribute some resin in each of my small paper cups. And this is a 1-to-1 ratio resin. This is Alumilite Amazing Clear Cast resin. I mixed for about 2 to 3 minutes slowly to avoid any bubbles. Now that we've distributed our resin, we're going to go ahead and actually distribute our pigment into each of our sectioned resin cups. And with each pigment, there is a kind of method to distribute a good amount without overdoing it. So I have about 2 scoops of Rose. That's the Bianca Pores pigment powder that I'm putting into the cup. For the acrylic paint, I'm going to be putting in about 10% or less of the pigment paint into my resin sectioned cup. And for alcohol ink, about the same. I don't use alcohol inks much, but I do know that you don't need a lot for it to actually be pigmented. So I give up about 3 drops or so into my sectioned resin cup. I have a popsicle stick in each sectioned resin cup, and I'm going to go ahead and slowly mix them into the resin. And you can actually notice the difference in each cup that we're mixing, the finish it gives off. So if you can notice the finish that this one is giving, this is the mica powder. It's giving a more frosted and kind of like whimsy finish. Next is the acrylic paint. And make sure when you're using acrylic paint, you're not using too much paint. You will have issues with curing if you do use too much paint in your resin. And as you can see, the finish of this one is very opaque, solid. There are no streaks or anything like that, as we can see in the mica powder. And last, for the alcohol ink, we can see that it's like a stained glass almost. It was actually, the alcohol ink was staining my popsicle stick as well. So it's a pretty strong pigment, but it's not opaque like our acrylic paint, and it doesn't have any streaks like our mica powder. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna pour all of the sectioned resin cup into each coaster mold, and I'm just showing you the difference in just the cup that we can see. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pour the alcohol ink mixture first. Next, we're gonna go ahead and pour the acrylic paint mixture. And you can definitely see the difference in each pigment so far into the coasters as well. I can see the bottom of the alcohol ink coaster, but I can't see the bottom of the acrylic paint one. And lastly, we're going to pour our mica powder mixture into the coaster mold. So we have all 3 in their molds and ready to cure. So we're gonna let them cure overnight. And now that they are finished, we can unmold them from our coaster molds, so we can see the difference now in the finish. So unmolding the alcohol ink coaster first. And if you can take a look, it's like stained glass. So I can see my hand through it. It still has the tint of the color, but it's not as opaque as we can see the other ones are. But it does give a cool finish, and so now that you know how alcohol ink finishes, you can use it appropriately and use it to the best of your knowledge or your project. Next, we're gonna unmold the mica powder. coaster. And so this one has like a frosted look, kind of hazy. And that one is also pretty opaque. You can't see my hand through it. And last, we have the acrylic paint mixture. This is the coaster. And it still actually needed more time to cure. But that one is completely opaque. Nothing can be seen from the other side. Pretty bold in color too. Just solid. Okay, and those are the 3 finished coaster molds. So I hope this helps you kind of distinguish which pigment you can use for your projects and which would look best in your opinion. I personally prefer acrylic paints, but I do actually mix acrylic paint and mica powder because it gives a cool finish. So I hope this helps. Thank you for watching. Bye.